have a bad month, your process failed.
Sure.
Right. Typically you'll have the same amount of customers coming in, but something happened in the process. Same with a salesperson on the floor, right? He has a bad month. His process is broken down somewhere.
Sales, marketing, automotive. Jason Harris has done it all. This is the After Hours with Jason podcast. After Hours with Jason podcast is sponsored by DDS Beer Club. Beer specifically crafted for hardworking sales professionals. Find out more at ddsbeerclub.ca.
Thank you, Rob, so much for coming out tonight
thanks for having me.
and spending some time with me. I'm really looking forward to getting into this. But before we do that, I'd like to have you introduce yourself to the audience, let them know a little bit about yourself so we have some context.
Yeah, Rob Gowe. I've got 27 years selling cars. I look after I own a private sale company now. Also, we do some digital marketing. So it's a combination of a couple things. Mainly in Ontario towards the East Coast. And it's been a fun run so far.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we got a chance to talk a little bit earlier about what we're kind of thinking context wise, and there's a lot of things going on in the industry right now. You know, look, for a lot of the dealerships and a lot of people that are listening to this podcast, you know, we're staring down the barrel of a year that may not be as good as the previous year. In fact, a lot of manufacturers, that's the way. Now, there are some dealerships that are rocking and they're crushing out there, and that's cool. Yeah. But we're really talking about the majority of dealerships out there. You know, we're looking at flat and even potentially lower numbers than we see before.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's lower numbers.
So I think it's probably a great place for us to start talking about, you know, what can we do in this type of environment? You know, we've plateaued. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like we've had years and years and years of growth, but now we've kind of hit a plateau. What is a dealership, kind of in your opinion, what do we start looking at when we plateau out like that to differentiate ourselves from others?
You know, I think the first place that you need to look at is Conquest, obviously, right? Your databases have taken a beating with your OEM marketing and your dealership marketing. You need to start looking at ways to attract new customers and how you're going to track new customers. And then once you get that customer, what are you going to do with them?
Sure.
Right? What's the message? How are you going to keep them? And you know, you spend all that money to bring them in. What's their first point of contact going to be like?
Yeah. Now let's talk about Conquest, because what do you do? Because I think it's another one of those words that we kind of use in this industry, fly around a lot of it.
Yeah.
It can actually have a lot of jargon. Yeah, it is. But it can have a lot of different meanings. So for you, what does Conquest entail?
A Conquest customer would be someone that hasn't bought at your store.
Okay.
Maybe's visited the store. You know, maybe cruised by your website, but hasn't engaged.
Okay.
Right.
But are in market or not in market?
I guess it depends, right? I mean, there's that high level not in market customer.
Yep.
And those are the hardest ones, obviously, to
Sure.
Conquest to. So as a two-pronged attack, I think you want to go after both, right? That in market, the hand raiser.
Yep.
And the guy that, well, I'm not really sure on your brand, but I might be a little bit interested to get more information.
And I think digitally targeting these individuals has never been more available to us than it has been today.
Sure.
Like, I mean, with behavior marketing efforts, targeting people that are actually showing interest in competing brands or competing products. Also, you guys are using some Bluetooth. I think you guys are using.
We do some proximity.
Proximity. Sorry, that's what I meant. Proximity. You guys are using some proximity sensors and
not
stuff like that.
No sensors. It's straight GPS.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, there's a lot of data out there. So it's utilizing that tracking and targeting data. So yeah, I think where do we kind of, you know, we have this opportunity now to target these higher level conquests, you know, through demographic targeting and just interest in general targeting, right? And then we have these true intent behavioral targeting that we have now through Facebook and Google and Instagram and YouTube and so on. So where do we start? I mean, when someone says conquest, like digitally conquesting, like what do you recommend to start?
I think, you know, obviously, you know, your Facebook is a great way to start. And you know, you touched on it. We do some proximity marketing where we're putting that message out. You know, the other issue is how do you track it, right? So you could get your message out, but how do you know what's happening with that message? So, obviously Facebook, they have, there's analytics that you can track with Facebook, and I know you're doing a lot of that, and, your Google AdWords and that kind of thing. Everybody's doing that, right? So where does that line become, where does that noise get taken away?
Sure.
Right?
I think it's creatively done through the story. I think what we do is we have to have a compelling story.
Not enough people talk about the story.
No, we had to first, I think, well, we start by developing the story by first identifying who our audience is.
Exactly.
So let's say
we're going to go after.
Exactly. So let's say we have those two different Conquest people, right? We have the people that are actually showing behavior that they're in market for a product or a similar product, right? Then let's talk about people that are not showing behavior, right? Those are two totally different stories. So how we write those stories out need to be unique to those individual audiences, and then we can start executing on those individuals. But I think what it is that for Conquest, you need to get very, very, very specific about who you're trying to conquest, all the way down to the age, the demographic, are they in market, are they not in market, are you trying to do both? And you're going to find out that you're going to create multiple audiences. I think that the best thing that you can do in 2019 to really kind of differentiate your marketing efforts and really capitalize on every single dollar that's being spent out there is spend a shitload of time identifying audiences.
Who's got the time to do that?
Well, that's to say, the dealerships either A, have to do it themselves, or B, they're going to have to hire someone to do it. Because it's all about execution at the end of the day.
For sure. And I think that's part of the Conquest issue is the execution. Right? Managers not knowing where to spend that money. They know they got to do something, but they're not sure where to do it or how to do it.
Yeah. Or
they think they're doing it when they're not really doing it.
No, see, that's the problem is that, look, dealerships need to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. I was on the phone today with the dealership, and we were just talking about just demographic targeting parameters. They had no idea that we could even do that entry-level type of targeting within Google or Facebook or Instagram. They were just like, you could do that? I'm like,
is it legal?
Yeah, exactly. It was like, that's just like scratching the surface of what we can do. I mean, like, we could go like really, really deep. I mean, let's say you're a male between the ages of 30 and 45 and, at the top 10% household income level, and, you play hockey on the weekends, and you follow and you enjoy Nine Inch Nails music. So let me see if I could put together a video about a vehicle that includes hockey, but in the background play Nine Inch Nails music. Wow, wait a second here.
For sure. That's the ultimate stuff.
That's what we can do, right? But it seems like we're still maybe it's the education. I don't know. What do you find? Why are dealerships going that deep? Because they're not going that deep.
They're not
digging that deep.
And you brought up video. I mean, there's no dealer really that is using that outlet, right? That media stream is in video. It's more a static ad.
Oh God, can you do you? That's what blows me out. Let's just be consumers for a second.
But having said that,
I likes a static ad.
Yeah, but I guess it's the message again on a static ad.
But it's a single image. Yeah. I mean, like, for the love of God, use HTML5.
Sure.
Give me at least 5 or 6 different kind of slides so you can kind of progressively tell me a story. If you're gonna just use images, like,
well, and if you look at Facebook, they give you it. It's right there.
In fact, they literally will do it for you.
Yeah.
Slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, save. Oh, now it's a video. What the hell?
Yeah, where everyone, and the quick thing is, I'll just do a single picture and away it goes, right? So,
I know we're trying not to keep negative and stuff like that, but honestly, I got no patience for dealerships that run single image ads.
Yeah.
I know. It's
for sure, but having said that, we've run some single image ads, right, and gotten great results.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it could be just the message as well.
Yep.
Right, but I mean, I prefer not to do a single image, but sometimes it happens. But as a dealer, you don't have any reason not to have a carousel ad or a video of your inventory, right, of that piece that you're trying to blow out. So,
well, I think that also the understanding is that when dealerships do create content, they do it incredibly self-serving.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
they're not creating content, and they're not doing creative for the consumer. They're doing creative simply for them and their own benefits.
For sure. But you know what happens, right? The manager leans back in his chair and says, "Hey, Tommy, put that ad up, put that car up on Facebook and get it up there right away."
It's dumb.
And Tommy doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So
neither does him. So it's the blind leading the blind
sure.
at this point.
Yeah.
You know. So let's tell them what do we do? What do they do? Let's tell them what to do. You know, I think first thing first, stop running single image ads. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, and for the simple reason, I know single image they can work, but it's the cost of single image ads is ridiculous, right? Yeah. I can take the same ad, turn it into a video, and the cost per view is astronomically lower.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just
it's got to be video now for sure.
You got to have content in motion, right? Content in motion is like a number one thing. So going into 2019, you need to have content in motion. Also, I think going into 2019, your content needs to be specific to the audience you're targeting.
Yes. When you say specific to the audience you're targeting, how specific are you talking?
Like straight up specific.
Yeah.
Like for example, okay, let's kick it basic, and
yeah.
then we'll talk about how we can make it more advanced. Okay. Let's say I'm a Chevy dealership, and I'm selling the Equinox. All right. There are multiple audiences that buy that Equinox.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
There are smaller families with 2 kids at home. There are retirees that are buying it, and then there is a small percentage of younger people with active lifestyles that are purchasing it too. Right. When those customers come into the dealership, we don't sell the car to them the exact same way. We identify them as an individual.
Sure.
And we present that's relevant to them.
Right. Yeah.
But then we look at our marketing efforts and we put an ad out there and say,
Sure.
oh, this will work for everybody. No, it won't. You don't sell that way, so why do you market that way?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right?
Yeah. Great point.
You know, and we're not talking about changing much.
Yeah.
And we're just saying, like, if it's just imagery, you know, well, then make sure you're running imagery with older people in it. Or,
For sure.
You know, or
run
you're
that kayak and the guy fishing on the side.
And then target, you know, younger males and females the ages of 25 and 35 that are single, you know, with active lifestyles, right?
Sure. Show that family putting their baby seat in.
And then run that against females between the ages of 30 and 45 with 2 kids at home.
I don't think most dealers know that they can actually, you know, get that granular with their targeting.
But it's crazy though. It's literally a couple clicks.
Yeah.
It's a couple clicks.
It asks you.
But it actually prompts you when you go through it.
Yeah.
In fact, so much so in some cases it won't let you move to the next step unless you choose some type of targeting parameters, right? So I think what it is I would love to see in 2019 is more content built for the audience.
Sure.
You know? And I think if you do that, you're really going to kind of win. But I am, at least in my clients, I am beginning to see it. You know, in 2018, we produced roughly about 250, 270 videos, somewhere in between there, for dealerships. Like,
wow.
We're already year to date at over 250 videos.
Wow.
So this year, we're going to produce over 2,000 to 3,000 videos. Well, last year, we only did 250 to 300.
Well, it's you know, I talked to a few digital guys today on the phone, and the message is the same. It's video. It's video. Everything that they're coming up with is around video. Mm-hmm. You know, YouTube or Facebook, or it's all video. Mm-hmm. So I found it interesting that every guy I'm talking to is video related.
Oh, it's the channels right now are actually discounting that cost of real estate right now. That real estate, that engagement is incredibly low in video, right? So I mean, I think, like I said, first step, you go video. I have dealerships right now that have gone completely 100% video. Now, not a lot, but I have a handful that in 2019 will be 100% video marketing.
Wow.
So not only the 100% digital, actually 100% video as well.
Wow.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just literally everywhere. Multiple levels, multiple pieces. And we're not talking about like one video per car. I mean, these guys are putting out 11 to 16 videos per vehicle.
Wow.
All right, because they're making that content
for sure.
You know,
they're targeting
to the audience.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal. It's just like, okay, just tell me about the car if I was a family. Okay, shoot, right? Start recording, right?
You're gonna do it when they come in.
It's so natural. Sure. We already do this. This is not a new concept. This isn't something brand new and revolutionary. We literally train and develop our staff to do this at the dealership level. But then in our marketing, we seem to totally forget what the hell we actually taught our staff.
Yeah, it's almost a lost, not a lost art, but it's a secondary thought. Mm-hmm. Right, it's a secondary thought. We know we got to market.
Well, we still think we're advertising in the newspaper.
Yes.
So we're still treating digital ads like newspaper ads.
For sure.
Where we're just like, because newspaper, you didn't have that.
Right.
Did you have the opportunity to run multiple pieces of creative?
No.
No.
Unless you were going to spend $30,000 or $40,000.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, that's right, because some did, right?
Yeah.
You get one shot.
Yeah.
One shot. That's it, right?
And then cross your fingers that someone hopefully walks in with it so you know it worked.
Yeah. Now, I think the next thing you got to do, and this is what you help a lot of dealerships do, is creating out that unique dealership message. I think it's been important for the last few years, but I think it's going to be incredibly even more so important in 2019, is that we create these unique dealership sales events, these unique dealership messages. Like, look, the manufacturer's running red tag days. Congrats! That, by the way, I think Red Tag Days is like the oldest running sales event of all time. I think it's at least 20-some years old.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the manufacturers.
Yeah, what are you doing to get that red tag customer into your store?
Exactly. What is the dealership? What's that dealership message? And what kind of energy and experience can you create off that dealership message, right?
Yeah, and again, it comes down to the whole story of the sale. And having, there is something to be said about having a third party come in, stir up the staff, stir up the database, and have a different face as a customer comes in to tell that story. Because, sometimes that third party is a better storyteller of the dealership story than the actual employees of the store.
That's not necessarily really uncommon that you do bring someone else in and for the fresh set of eyes, they can see a different angle. It's like, it's sometimes when you're just in your own space and you're doing your own thing, you continue to do your routine, but you don't realize what you're doing is unique or something about you is unique, and then someone else gets come in.
Customer could be his first time coming in the store.
100%.
Right? And it's more, another customer. Right?
Yeah, because we just kind of get built into our, into our routines. So what do you guys get to work with a lot of dealerships.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've got the opportunity to see ones that did a really good job at executing their own unique message, and the ones that did not a good job at executing their own message. What are you seeing that's like, there's got to be some patterns there. What are you seeing out there?
The stores that are executing on the event or their marketing, are the stores that are engaged. Mm-hmm. They're 100% engaged. They're going to spend the money, they're going to spend it right, and they're going to make sure that they get the results. And if they're not going to get the results, they're going to wonder why. And then the stores that don't get the results are basically tossing you the keys to the car on delivery and saying your car's out back, go ahead, right? So we try and develop, we try and work close with our stores that the message is strong enough, right, that when a customer comes in, that's impactful. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to telling the story, why we're here as a third party, right? Mm-hmm. And why the dealership is so successful, or whatever their story is. Not because they're the best price. I mean, everyone's the best price.
Sure.
But it's, what makes them different, and why should you be doing business here?
Yeah.
You can go down the street and buy the same car for the same price.
And that's, especially here where we're working in the space that we're calling home, it's a very unique thing. And I think we have to kind of identify that for a lot of the listeners out there, because they don't necessarily have that context. Yep. But where we're located geographically right now, which is called the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, right, the volume of dealerships is astronomical, right? How many Chrysler dealerships within the GTA?
119, I think, within the GTA.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
There's like 4 right in the area that we're sitting in right now.
Yeah, literally within, like a 5 to 10 minute drive?
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minute drive.
4 Chrysler stores from here.
Yeah, so we have to kind of give that context out there, because that really that has a huge factor in what we're talking about, creating this unique thing. There's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of
Sure. I drove 45 minutes on my way here, and I think I passed 23 or 24 stores, different manufacturers, on one basic straight up shot. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, and that really plays a factor in the importance of creating that unique message for the dealership, right? And it's not so you have, making the content relevant to the audience, creating a unique message. Now, what have you seen as far as, like, what can you give advice-wise to a dealership that's trying to execute on their own message? Like, it's like you've seen it happen a lot. You guys do it a lot, right? Where do you see it kind of fail? Where do you see it win?
Well, I think just managing the if you're going to put that message out, and if it's a good message and those leads start to come in, it's managing those leads.
So a process.
It's always process. You have a bad month, your process failed.
Sure.
Right. Typically you'll have the same amount of customers coming in, but something happened in the process. Same with a salesperson on the floor. Right. He has a bad month. His process is broken down somewhere. So easy to drive traffic. It's not easy, but anyone can drive traffic to their store or to their website.
Yep.
It's how it gets handled from there, right? So process breakdown. Is there someone that's dedicated to handle those leads coming in, or are you round robbing it through your sales floor? Are you letting the guy that's got 15 years experience handle that lead, and then the next lead is handled by a guy that's been on the floor for 2 weeks?
Sure.
And then who's tracking that?
Yeah, because look, a process is only as good as how well it's written down and the means in which it's actually tracked as far as effectiveness goes.
Sure.
Like, you can't just talk about the process. That process has to be identified, documented.
Well, you're in a lot of stores.
You
How
got to
many
track
times
it.
do you walk in and ask a sales guy what the process is? Oh, it's meet and greet, it's qualify. It's selection, it's walk around, it's test drive. I mean, that's not the process.
No.
Right?
And you're going to get 6 different variations of that too.
For sure. But what's the store's process? What's the mandate from a sales manager to his staff to say, this is how we're going to handle an incoming lead? And there is no deviation from that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where it falls off in most places.
No, 100%. 100% it does. Right? So that kind of leads into that next topic, right? We've so far identified that creating content specifically for audience, that's going to be a big play.
Yeah.
All right. Secondly, creating out that unique dealership message.
For sure.
Look, if you guys can't do it yourself, there are great companies like Rob's and other companies out there that will do it with you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny. It's not necessarily a primary part of our business. I thought it was going to be a lot more, but we found out that our sweet spot has just been a lot of video production. But
which is very cool.
It is, because
I've seen
it's really unique,
and it's really neat.
We have fun. God, it's fun doing it. So then that goes into our third part, right? So custom creative content, specific for audience, unique dealership message. Now we talk about process. I think we just simply have not invested enough in training, developing, and coaching our staff.
Yeah.
And creating that in the sense of what the process is.
Right.
You've had the opportunity, like myself, to be in a lot of dealerships. Any of them stick out at the top of your head of just ones that like seriously crushed that, and what made them unique?
A lot of dealerships have, what they call a training platform, right? Either they send them out to a third-party trainer outside, or they have a guy come in and train, and but then it's and that's great. But what happens after that?
What's the accountability?
Where's that continued training? Oh, he does more courses online after that. Well, I've been in stores where the guy, it's a catch-22, because there's a customer walking in, but sales guy needs to be on the computer taking his salesperson's course, right?
Yep.
So it's one of those things. But how much do you retain sitting there watching a trainer online as compared to actual applying it or having someone in store helping you?
Sure.
Right. I think there's a definite disparity in that.
No, I actually don't necessarily like the idea of training, because I think what it is that we train someone to do specific activities, right?
Sure.
So it's like, I'll train you to do an activity. Okay, that's cool. But then there's
coaching.
Not,
Is that what you were?
That's what I like.
Yeah,
I like coaching.
Yeah.
Because I grew up doing sports.
Yeah.
My father was actually my coach. So he would train me in activities, but then coach me in my efforts.
Sure. Yeah.
And that is what continued to make you a better athlete And I just don't find that we're necessarily doing that with our staff.
Oh, there's no coaching.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I remember, and I always tell this story when I talk to some new salespeople, because, you know, I got in the car business in the early 90s, and, you know, I played football for a long time. And
oh, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, for sure. And I was having a hard time adjusting to the regiment of the sales floor, right? Do this, do that, do this, do that. And I was quitting. I had it. I was like, man, this is not for me. My manager saw I was struggling. He pulled me aside and says, listen, I need to relate it to you this way. And it's much like a football game, right? So you're the player, I'm the coach. I send in the play, you execute the play. After that, we'll talk about the play. And they're kind of like, wow, yeah, that makes sense. So the training part is, you know, this is what we're going to do. You go out and execute. And then after it, you know, if you're successful or you fail, we'll talk about it and see where we can, you know, enhance the process, right? Change what you're doing just to make it better. Or maybe you're doing such a good job that you can teach us a little bit. So it kind of made a lot of sense. And then I ended up staying in the car because of that. Just that 5-minute coaching session that he gave
That's
me.
what it was. See how powerful coaching is?
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Like, you were probably trained at, taught to,
Yeah.
giving instructions on
this, do
what
that, do this, do
activities,
that. Yeah.
what activities to do. Like,
Yeah.
you go do this, and then you go do that, and then you go do this. But nobody coached you through your efforts. And
Yeah.
it sounds like that's what this manager did, is they coached you through it, and that had a huge impact on your career.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what is? It's cool because we've both, you know, been athletes, and I mean, let's talk about that. Let's try to identify a little more. What does it look? How does it look differently between training and coaching?
Well, I think you touched on it, right? You know, training is this is how you meet and greet.
Yeah.
You know, here's your word track for meet and greet.
Yep.
Here's your word track to qualify a customer, or you know, I guess qualify or investigate the customer when they come in. You know, which has changed again, right? It's not even you can't even do that really anymore on product, right? It's more of a you know, you're trying to find out more where they live, what they do, that kind of thing, build a rapport. And again, I think, and then you get into all the other process. But I think the coaching side of it is that you see something happening during that process, and you can, you know, make the tweaks on the side. So, how do you feel about that? What do you think you did right? What do you think you did wrong? And maybe if we did this a little bit different.
It's that mid-game huddle.
Mid-game
right?
huddle.
That's what it is, right?
For sure.
It's just kind of going, all right, guys, this strategy, this ain't working for us, and we're not making it to the end zone.
Yeah.
All right, we got to switch some shit up.
It's 1st and 15.
Right. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And you know, it's so funny. I could go into like sports analogies and dealerships like all day long because there's just so many similarities to it. And I think if we were to treat our staff as a sports team, well, God, there would be a lot of different things that we'd be looking at. You know,
Absolutely.
For one thing, we'd be looking at the stats a lot differently.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I love about professional sports is that if you're the best, you're the best.
Yeah, there's
like,
you can't
it's
lie.
not because you think you're the best or because someone feels like
yeah.
you're the best. It's like, no, you're just the fucking best. Like,
Yeah.
all right, every time you step to the plate and you connected, it's out of here, you know, or just every time you receive the ball, you got that.
Sure. I was watching the Leafs game last night, and the stat came up about Tampa Bay.
Yep.
First in power play, first in penalty kill, first in this, first, like right down, and they're first place.
It's their best.
Yeah.
It is so insanely black and white.
Yeah, exactly. Black and white.
Just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know? I can't tell you how often I've gone into a dealership where I told, well, I think he's our best. Why is that? Because he sells the most amount of cars. You know what? How often is that not the case in professional sports?
Yeah.
You know?
I had the same conversation with a new salesperson the other day. Same thing. Why do you do that? Well, because he does that and he sells the most cars. I'm like, well, that doesn't make him the best. Well, how is that not possible? So, because he may fall into a few extra deals here and there. What's he costing the store by the way he does or transacts himself?
You're right. In sports, and you know this very, very well, it's our efforts that define.
For sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's our efforts.
Yeah.
It's how many test drives did we take? How many of those test drives did we convert to payment presentations? How many of those payment presentations did we convert to closed deals?
How many stores do you call on that can actually give you those numbers?
I see, but we have to
We
do
have
this.
to change that.
We have to do it. Like, enough's enough, you know? Like,
We've
it's
been
just...
saying that for years, and and the problem becomes...
The industry's slowing down, man.
For
Like,
sure.
we have to do this.
Who knows how to do it?
Well, they know how to do it. I can't tell you how many managers I know how to do it.
That manager that comes in, right? You promote from within, let's say.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Right? You bring that guy in. Who's training him?
Yeah, literally, like, one day I'm selling cars, the next day I'm the sales.
Well, yeah, because chances are the manager that's gone was let go or quit.
Yep.
Right? So how does he learn how to track those
Look,
steps?
dealerships need to make the investment. Okay, that's it. We have to make the investment.
It's the investment.
It's like, where are you going to put your money this year? You're going to put your money in these 3 places. Okay, you're going to put your money in custom content that's designed for an audience, audience-specific content. That's where you're going to put your money. You're going to put your money in creating out custom events and messages that are unique to you and your dealership.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, you got to invest in your freaking people. Like, you just got to. There's no other way to look around it. If you're not running your staff, your sales floor like a professional ball team,
that's it.
Then you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're screwed. All right?
Exactly.
You got to moneyball this shit.
Yeah. It's true.
You do, right?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, these dealerships aren't going to be able to afford the best salesperson in the world out there, so they're going to have to be able to do with what they got.
Yeah, manage it by stats.
Yeah.
You need to take 25 test drives.
Look, and there's
only took 3.
Exactly. What the hell happened to the other 22?
Yeah.
You know, and how can we continue to better? How can we continue to improve that? But it all goes back to the core. We can't do any of that if we don't write this process out and create a means and a ways to measure its effectiveness. Like, if we're not measuring shit, none of this happens. And then we fall right back into the case where I think and I feel.
So whose shoulders would that fall on? Does that fall on the dealer principal, general manager, GSM?
I think everyone's freaking responsible for it, right? I mean,
For
the
sure.
dealer responsible is the dealer principal is responsible for saying, all right, guys, I'm going to put this investment in, all right? And, you know, the manager's responsibility is to choose and work side by side with another company or develop out something themselves, right?
Yeah.
The managers are responsible for developing out these processes. So your GMs, they're up there, they're in charge of developing out these processes, documenting these processes, right? And then working with the rest of their team to figure out how they're going to effectively measure these processes. And then those floor level managers, look, they're on the ground. They're floor level. They're in the trenches. All right. They are executing on those processes.
Yeah.
I don't know any way to do it.
That's the only way to do it. But then you know, it's such a a dealer would rather spend an extra $400 or $500 on Auto Trader or whatever,
$4,000 or $5,000.
or $1,000, yeah,
yeah,
then
no.
spend $1,000
investing into their team.
Yeah, so it kind of boggles the mind.
But look, I think what it is that the last few years, last 5-10 years,
it's been easy
we've
to sell.
been able to get away with that shit.
For sure. Look at Harley Davidson right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There goes a
Right?
perfect example,
For
right?
sure. You didn't have to have any selling skills for Harley Davidson.
None.
So right now they're feeling that pain because none of their not none, but you know, a majority of their stores don't have salespeople. They had order takers.
Yep.
Right. So they're wondering, well, why are sales down? Well, because no one knows how to properly present the product.
And I think, well, I know for a fact. I hate the word think and hate the word feel. I know for a fact that if dealerships don't really start taking the investment of their people in training and coaching, because you got to do both. You can't just do one.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to do both, right? If they don't take that seriously, they're not going to win. They won't reach their numbers. They're not going to hit their targets. They're going to lose money head over heels.
At some point, well, you know, they talk about price, and I guess price is what they say is 5th down the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yet dealers haven't caught on to that yet. They still think it's number one.
Yeah.
Price.
Well, it's still number one for them, but it's also
It's still number one for them.
The issue too with that is that I see the other thing too is, and the reason why, so we identified 3 really amazing things. Now, why don't dealerships do it on a regular basis? And I think I figured out why they don't do it on a regular basis. Because they're so fixated on that 30-day fucking cycle.
Oh, yeah, we live and breathe on the 30-day.
Right? We
live
and die.
word.
We live and die by that, right?
That sales board, that's God.
It is.
Right? You pray to that.
Damn
thing.
straight.
Yeah.
Right? That is literally.
We have 12 year ends.
Yep, that's what it is. That's the best way to look at it. That's 100% right. We have 12 year ends. What kind of BS is that?
It's crazy.
The manufacturer don't help out with that because they support that whole concept in itself. All right. Honestly, the dealerships. I mean, I didn't know dealerships that people lost their hair. Look at my hair. I had a whole set of hair, a whole head of hair at one point in time, right?
It's like you get to 30 cars. You sell 30 cars. On the the 30th, you're sitting at 30 cars. You turn around and get there the next morning, and you're at 0.
Start all over again.
And you go, oh my god! Now where am I gonna? How and where and
what did I say? You're only as good as your last month. That's it. That's it. Right? I mean, the amount of stress that puts on us managers, that puts on the salespeople, that puts on the dealer principals, that's astronomical. Like, we got to change that shit.
It will never change. That's the
but I know, but that's a problem.
Because and it won't. It will never change because it comes factory down.
Yeah, well, that's true. Some manufacturers get a little better. I've actually started seeing targeting, like they're changing now to start focus on quarterly, so that gives you a little flex and breathing room. So if maybe you didn't quite hit your stride the first month, you can kind of get that next. You get another swing of the bat. You don't have that. Problem is you get one swing that month and that's it, and then you fail, and then it's and the problem is that fail can live with you for a while because of the profitability that you lose.
Listen, I came off. I mean, if I there used to be a store out in Vancouver that would fire the last guy.
I worked at one of those.
Sure.
I seriously worked at one of those. 56 people on the sales team, and last guy, gone.
I came off February, 25 cars. It was a good month. And then the following month, I did 4. Right? I don't know what happened. Right? Anyway. And then I came back and did 35 the next month. But if I had been judged on that 4-car month, I'd have been out of the business.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
So that's how crazy the cycle is.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and so then I find, what do dealer principals invest and what GMs are investing their time and their money in? They're investing short-term gains.
For sure.
They're all looking at that every single dollar they spend in their marketing efforts. Everything has to affect my 30-day. If it doesn't affect my 30-day, fuck it.
Yeah, I'll talk about it next 30 days.
Yeah, and it's the same reason why, like, someone asked me earlier today in a meeting, we're in a manufacturing meeting, they're like, why don't dealerships really embrace and understand the value of social media? I'm like, because it doesn't affect their 30-day cycle.
Yeah, it's hunt.
If they can't put effort into their social media and not see a return within a 30-day period, then they're not going to invest time and money into it.
30-day period. I wish sometimes now it's a week.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's a
sometimes
week.
Actually, yeah, they do have that too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get any leads this week. How come? Well, I don't know, but it's not a sprint. This is a marathon.
No, it is.
Right.
It is. So I think we can round it up, and I think that's a great place to round it up. There's your 4th thing. What are you going to do in 2019 that's really going to, bulletproof your dealership? Is that you got to participate in these 4 things, and the 4th one being that you can't look at it as these 12-month ends.
Right. Yeah.
No more 12-month ends.
Stop praying to the board.
Yep. Stop praying to the board. Invest in the marathon, not the sprint.
Exactly. And that is a great way to say it, for sure. Invest in the marathon, not the sprint.
That's totally going to be a tidbit. I'm going to cut that out. That's going to be. No, but I think that's an excellent place for us to kind of wrap up. So, really, let's talk about those 4 things one more time. I know we repeat it, but I think there's so much value here, guys. Is content, all right?
Content's king.
Content's king. Audience-specific content is absolutely a must. It's 2019, guys. Come on. Stop treating your ads like newspapers.
Yeah.
All right? You have the ability to run multiple pieces of creative against multiple audiences. You guys need to do that.
For pennies.
Pennies. Just and if your vendor doesn't do it, then go find one that will. Like, it's just, there's too many of them out there not to say you can't do it, right? What did we have for number 2? Number 2.
Process.
Process. Yes. Number 2 is process, right? We have to have it documented, and we have to have a way to measure that documentation. Number 3, you guys need to invest in your ball team.
Yeah.
You gotta
Moneyball it.
you gotta moneyball it. You gotta moneyball it. You need to put money into the training and coaching, all right, of your staff. You can't do one without the other. Training is going to teach you on the requirements, activities that you need to do. All right, the coaching is going to help support the efforts and help better those efforts as we move along. And then fourth, to round up our entire list here, is no more 12-month ends.
No more praying to the board.
We really do, don't we?
Oh, man.
I actually do remember that being said. We're praying to the car gods.
It's the car gods. It's that whiteboard sitting on your wall.
It really kind of is, right?
Oh, God, I hope I get another deal.
I just need one more.
Yeah.
Because, oh, man, month ends, you know. You're there until 2 a.m. sometimes. You're counting every deal. You're like,
how about the managers that are RDRing everything for month end?
Oh, man, it's brutal.
Oh.
It's brutal. Absolutely.
Kudos to them, man.
I know, no kidding. All right, I think that's a great place to stop. Before we do that, though, for the people out there that would love to connect with you, Rob, and learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing, where can people connect with you?
BullseyeSalesEvents.com.
Okay.
It gives us sort of a breakdown of what we do, and any questions or anything that we can help with, we're there to help.
Cool. Hey, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, I know we had to record that one, but really thanks. And guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed the content here. We'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are. Drop us a comment down below. We thoroughly enjoy reading those. And thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night.